This is Joy News Prime.
Hello and welcome to the most comprehensive 2 hours of television news in Ghana. My name is Israelite. Tonight on Joy News Prime, as the controversy over the president's acceptance of a gift of a vehicle rages, the Burkinabe contractor at the heart of it all is said to have withdrawn his interest in a bid for another government contract. The head of the Political Science Department at the University of Ghana is meanwhile worried about the implications of the controversy on the fight against corruption. Minority questions presidential directive announced in Parliament on Thursday, which gives the Interior Ministry right oversight responsibility over the intelligence agencies.
And in business, over 50 small businesses in small retail markets in Accra have been shut down for violation of tax obligations and update on stock, commodity and currency markets.
And on the Day of the African Child, we highlight the plight of children denied access to education because they're sold into slavery. We'll have the latest in sports, entertainment, international news, and Joy News Interactive in this 2-hour bulletin, also available across Europe on ABN television. Stay tuned. Now, the Burkinabe contractor who gave a Ford Expedition vehicle to President Mahama as a gift, Jibril Kanazoe, is said to have withdrawn an earlier bid for an 82 million cedi road contract he was the only contractor being considered to execute. Mr. Kanazoe is known to have executed the controversial $650,000 Ghana Embassy War contract in Burkina Faso and the 25.9 million euro Dodo Pepeso road contract. Roads and Highways Minister Alhaji Yusuf Hussaini rationalized the consideration of Mr. Kanazoe alone for the award of the Wahamile road contract when he spoke with Manasseh Zuriawuni in his investigative piece.
It's in Burkina Faso. His equipment is finished to the purpose. He's demobilized and his equipment is in Burkina Faso. He will quickly mobilize and come down by reason of the close proximity of the Hamile area to Burkina Faso. 2, he has a record of good work in Ghana, and he knows the terrain.
But a day after the expose, the contractor is said to have made a U-turn with regards to the new job. The roads minister discloses on Joy FM Super Morning Show.
Burkinabe contractor Kanazoe, based on his previous performance on the Dodo Papasi Mkonta Road, and the fact that he had done the Burkina Faso Hamile part of the road, and we wanted, and we are in the process of procuring for the Hamile Wa section of the same international transit corridor, was invited to be part of the contractors to be selected for the purpose of executing the contract. Indeed, I'm sorry to inform you that the contractor refused to partake in the process when the bids were made available to be purchased.
When were the bids made available to be purchased?
Well, I think some weeks ago, because my information is that just yesterday they opened the tenders.
And is there a reason as to why he didn't participate?
Well, I've not been told the reason, and I've not asked the reasons. I mean, when you invite a contractor based on his previous history and record to partake in the execution of a project, and then contractor declines, I don't think that he has obligation to give you reasons.
Now, there have been more reactions since the story was aired yesterday. While some actually justify the president's acceptance of the bribe, there are those who have condemned it. Now, Ivor Greenstreet, who's the flag bearer of the Convention People's Party, is one of those who believes it's much ado about nothing.
Well, certainly I don't, see why there's claims or basis of impeachment and all those ridiculous arguments and statements that have been made thus far. you know, but it's an area that has unfortunately a lot of gray areas to it. However, in this instance, it appears as though this is not a secret gift or an unknown gift that was delivered in the night, but appears to have been properly documented and proper procedure followed in terms of how the vehicle became aware as a gift to the state.
So in your view, legally, there's nothing to raise issues with?
Well, I mean, you know, unless there are some other facts which are yet to come out, which I'm not in possession of, but in terms of what I have been in possession of thus far, which have been gleaned from the internet and from conversations that I've heard from others, as it stands at this point in time, I'm not, you know, I don't have a feeling that there's been such a breach of protocol or such a creation of conflict of interest to warrant the kind of noises that have been made thus far.
Now, the head of political science at the University of Ghana, Dr. Bossman Asare, is however worried about the implications the controversy will have on the fight against corruption. Dr. Bossman Asare describes the acceptance of the gift as inappropriate under the circumstances, adding that others will cite that as an example when confronted with similar situations. He spoke with Joy News' Favor Nunu.
And here we are having a situation within our body politics where the president is being accused of taking a gift and probably misconducting himself in a situation where there's a conflict of interest as regards to a forward expedition gift that he received. In the first place, what is your first impression after you heard all of these things in the media?
I think I was completely taken aback when I heard that someone has successfully been able to give a gift to the president, because I know when someone occupies the position of the president, this is the highest office in this particular country. So Ghanaians expect a certain level of, a high level of morality, a certain level of administrative commitment, a certain level of professionalism. So I have always been of the view that it's very, very inappropriate for someone who is sitting president of our country to receive a gift of that particular level. We know that when presidents are moving around and they get to place, they are given smokes, they are given this kente cloths, etc. But to the extent that someone has been given a contract by the government of Ghana and the person gave a gift to the president personally, to the president, I think it's completely inappropriate. And in many instances, when you get a gift of that particular worth, and they are quoting the price of almost $100,000, people will expect that you are going to disclose the gift and pay something to the tax authorities. But we didn't hear that something like that was done. So I think that this is completely unacceptable. This is something which is seriously in violation of administrative procedures, ethical behaviors we expect from people who are occupying very, very sensitive positions.
So reading in between the lines and observing over the past few days and going through the details yourself, what does this come to? A gift, a bribe, or a conflict of interest?
Objectively, I would say it's a gift. Objectively, I'll put it that way. I wouldn't say conflict of interest or bribe. But my position is that when you occupy certain positions, you don't take certain gifts from certain individuals, especially someone who has been given a contract. For all you know, their relation has been there for several years. And this may be something like maybe an icing on the cake, but the time in which that particular thing came. So there are many positions when you occupy, accepting gift from certain individuals is something which is not encouraged at all, especially in this era of democratic dispensation, when we are talking about ethical leadership, we are talking about transformational leadership, we are talking about transparency, accountability, responsiveness of public officials. There are certain things, you may be the chief director, you may be the vice chancellor, the dean, certain positions you don't take certain gifts. Especially when people can read several meanings into it, that it probably influence your judgment or your awarding of a certain contract.
What about the part that constitutionally it's quite clear in the Article 284 that a public officer will not act in a way that leads to he being compromised in any way, amongst other things, taking gifts? On the basis of the Constitution, is it possible for any organization, any individual, any Ghanaian to say, we want to go forward and impeach the president? And how does that happen?
I think on the basis of the Constitution provides grounds that there are certain things when leaders do, they can be removed from office. That one is clearly established. But one of the things we have to understand in Ghana is that the nature of the system we are practicing, the political system we have in this country, some people can take the initiative. The court is always there to listen to people, whether you are rich, you are poor, you belong to a party, or you don't belong to a party. But the question is, will this thing be able to fly? And when we talk about impeachment, impeachment generally falls within the domain of the legislature. Unless someone is saying that, okay, I think the parliament will not be able to do it, so let me go through the court system. But impeachment is something which will be done by parliament. But let's look at the composition of our parliament. And looking at the system we are practicing, I don't think Ghana will get to a point where a president who has majority in parliament and the parliamentarians will say we are going to support an agenda or an action that will lead to the impeachment. And I think we've been hearing some MPs on the president's side who are justifying that, oh, at times the president will go around and people will be giving smokes, goats, sheep, etc. But let's be very clear, Ford Expedition is different from a goat. This is something which could cost, when you are even clearing at the port, it may even cost about 50,000 to 70,000 Ghana cedis. So this is no ordinary thing. But I think, as I said, this is very inappropriate. Looking back, maybe the president would have done it differently.
You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break. We have more stories coming up. Don't go away. Welcome back to Joy News Prime. The minority in Parliament is questioning the timing of a presidential directive asking the Interior Ministry to assume responsibility for all intelligence agencies in the country. President Mahama, in a letter to Parliament, assigned ministerial responsibilities for the intelligence agencies to the Interior Minister with immediate effect. Though the letter read to the House by the Speaker, Edward Dojaho, does not state which intelligence agencies are covered, it is believed that it affects the Financial Intelligence Center and the Economic and Organized Crimes Office.
The Office of the President. Right Honorable Speaker, ministerial responsibility for the intelligence agencies. In accordance with Section 17 of the Security and Intelligence Agencies Act 1996, I hereby assign ministerial responsibility for the intelligence agencies for the Minister of Interior with immediate effect. Please accept, Right Honorable Speaker, the assurances of my highest esteem. Signed, John Dramani Mahama.
My Member of Parliament for Sunyani East, Akwesi Ameya Treme, tells Joy News the directive has the potential of compromising the independence and integrity of some of the agencies.
The directive is not in the best interest of Ghanaians. You see, when you package the whole sector to one ministry, it gives a lot of problems. We want transparency, discipline in our dealings. It's like the Ministry of Attorney General, Ministry of Justice, Attorney General. The Ministry of Justice should be separate from Attorney General. So if you combine all these security agencies to Ministry of Interior, it's going to be conflict of interest, and Ghanaians will not allow that. We want transparency and decorum in our politicking. We want decency. We want transparency that whatever sector, being a sector of any form of security services, they have to get their head to head them. But to bring the whole body to one ministry is not the best interest of this country.
You want the directive reversed?
Yeah, we want the directive reversed. It's not in the good interest. It's the Speaker who said it, isn't it? And I think
communication from the President.
Communication from the President, and I think it's not in the best interest. Parliament should be involved in this thing. We have to debate on it for Parliament to take a decision on this. As for me, I don't subscribe to that. It is not in a good interest of Ghanaians. I want transparency in this country.
If you talk about intelligence agencies reporting to the Minister of Interior, national security is one, BNI, As for the BNI, they are already, in a way, under the Ministry of Interior. It can possibly affect IOCO because they also gather intelligence. It can also affect FIC because they also, Financial Intelligence Center, because they also gather intelligence. But if it must affect all these bodies, then to some extent it can be dangerous for the country.
Why do you say that?
Particularly in reference to financial intelligence, they deal with financial malpractices or fraudulent financial practices in the system, whether within the country or beyond our borders. They trace how people are making money and even depositing monies in the banks. If they have any reasonable belief that the money is ill-gotten, then they can trace the source. If it is linked to, for instance, drugs, for instance, then whoever is involved will have to be called to answer. It can lead to confiscations and the rest. So they need some level of independence to work. The moment you politicize their work, we are not going to achieve the desired results. I'm saying this because the minister who will be receiving reports or intelligence from FIC or IOCO or any of the organizations so mentioned.
Programs Director with the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Center, Dr. Kwesi Enning, is more concerned about which agencies would be affected by the directive and wonders whether the military intelligence will be one of them. He stated on the pause that the presidency would have to clarify what the directive means.
I mean, there can be multiple interpretations to it. But for me, I think the most important thing, without having seen the statement read by the Speaker or the cabinet decision, is that the Interior Minister should now, under certain circumstances, appear before Parliament to explain the behavior, the deliverables, and the performance of the intelligence agency. So in terms of the democratic governance and oversight of the intelligence institutions, this is very useful. If you remember, we haven't had such a person appearing before Parliament as provided for under Act 526 since Mr. Kufuor very briefly had a minister for security. So in that sense, for the oversight and governance of the intelligence agencies, this is very useful. But there's a certain fuzziness around the instructions. Should military intelligence, for example, also now report to and be under the purview of the Interior Minister? I think from what I've read online, that is not very clear. It does mention national security, IOCO, NACOB, and BNI. Of course, the Ghana Police Service is already under the Interior Ministry. So probably in the coming days, there will be a need for some clarification and subsidiary explanations from the President.
Okay.
But I have another concern that is only tangentially related to this. If you remember, at the height of the so-called terrorist threats and the credibility of those threats to Ghana,
yes,
there was a new unit that was formed under the presidency in which Mr. Babak Kamara was supposed to play a coordinating role. So I'm just wondering, is this just a new fad, or there will be some bill to back, this new, redesignation of the Interior Minister and the realignment of the intelligence agents? So I think in the coming week, there will have to be some further conversation.
Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration Hannah Tete has raised concerns about the low number of women parliamentarians, describing them as an endangered species. She was speaking at a workshop organized by Abantu for Development to strengthen women capacities in election 2016. Joining us, Joseph Akable was at the workshop and filed this report.
1996 parliamentary elections, out of the 59 women who contested, 18 were elected, constituting 9% of 200 MP. In 2000, the number of female candidates increased to 19, constituting 9.5% of 200 MP. In 2004, 25 women, 14 sitting MPs were elected, constituting 10.9% of 230 MPs. The number in 2008 reduced to 15 female MPs, constituting only 6.5% of the House. The workshop was therefore meant to strengthen women's capacity for effective participation in elections 2016 and beyond. Aspiring parliamentary aspirants were brought together to interact, learn, share information, network among themselves, and build solidarity for their electioneering campaign. Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration Hannah Tete, who addressed the workshop, said the small percentage of women in Ghana's legislature affects the quality of legislation.
That I would try to be part of it, if even for a short period of time. This, for me, is the third time I'm contesting elections. In my previous two contests, I have won. I very much expect to win this one as well. For me, it's more an issue of experience sharing. And I always find opportunities to engage with women who are interested in politics to be something useful. Because the fact of the matter is that even though we may all be here on the platform of different political parties, the truth of the matter is that in Parliament we are very much an endangered species. The number of women in our Parliament today do not account for 20% of the total number of parliamentarians. Not having even 20% of our female population as members of Parliament invariably affects the quality of legislation that we pass. We have had the Property Rights of Spouses bill that has been languishing in Parliament for a while now. There's no appetite on the part of our male colleagues to take it forward. We are now going to have the Affirmative Action Bill being sent to Parliament. I reasonably expect that it is likely to meet the same fate as the Property of Spouses Bill. And I think it's important for us to distinguish between whatever the partisan interest is, which we by all means protect, to what we want to do in order to improve the status of women in Ghana. Because invariably, if we are able to do that successfully, we will also be helping many more women, not just to aspire to become members of Parliament, but actually to win elections and become members of Parliament.
Some participants shared their views on how to improve the situation.
Front of decision making. I think we have to come up with strategies to be able to communicate and conscientize our followers and supporters, our women at home, to support all these initiatives and efforts to improve the participation of women.
My aspiration is to attempt, because I'm sure that it will take us a little while to change the stereotyping kind of life in our traditions. I'm an Akan, and I know that it transits to all tribes as to the role the women play. And I think that it has a lot to do with our positions and our fortunes.
Being NDC, MPP, whichever platform you come from, we meet here as one woman. And when we get the power, we should also take into consideration the other women who are left behind.
You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break. When we come back, we bring you business news. Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Suspended General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, Kwabena Ejapong, has withdrawn as witness for Paul Afoko, who's challenging his suspension in court as national chairman of the party. Mr. Ejapong was due to testify in court on Thursday when Mr. Afoko's lawyer, Safo Boabeng, announced that he will no longer be available. Joy News' Raymond Akwa was in court and filed this report.
Paul Afoko's lawyer Thursday morning told the court hearing the case that Mr. Japon, who had been listed as a third witness, was not available and therefore should be withdrawn as a witness. Safo Boabeng consequently asked the court to strike out the witness statement submitted by the suspended General Secretary. Paul Afoko is suing the opposition New Patriotic Party over the decision of the National Executive Committee to endorse a recommendation to suspend him. The disciplinary committee of the NPP recommended Mr. Afoko's suspension after he consistently failed to appear before it to answer charges of misconduct. He appealed the suspension at the National Council, but his appeal was dismissed by an overwhelming majority of the members present. He subsequently went to the High Court, insisting that his suspension was in contravention of the NPP's constitution. He wants the decision declared unconstitutional and of no effect. Mr. Afoko and one of his lawyers, Martin Pebu, have concluded their testimonies. Kwabena Japon, who suffered a similar fate as Mr. Afoko, was expected to testify Thursday when the case was called, but lawyers for the plaintiff announced that will no longer be the case. With the testimonies concluded, the court is expected to fix a date to give its judgment on the matter if the NPP does not call any more witnesses. A similar case brought against the NPP by Vice Chairman Sami Krab was dismissed as unmeritorious by the Human Rights Court in Accra recently.
The National Democratic Congress in the Upper East region says, contrary to what the opposition New Patriotic Party wants Ghanaians to believe, President John Mahama has brought massive development to the Upper East region. At a news conference last week, the Upper East regional branch of the NPP said the president had cancelled a planned visit to the Upper East region as part of the Accounting to the People tour because he had no projects to commission in the region. But at a counter news conference at Bolgatanga on Wednesday, the Upper East Regional Secretary of the NDC, Donatus Akamugri, said the NPP's claims are not true.
My brothers and sisters of the press, we want to categorically state that the postponement of His Excellency the President, the visit to Upper East region, was due to more national pressing issues of great concern, which is well known and effectively communicated to the good people of the Upper East region. Also, the inability of his Vice President to grace the Farmers' Day celebration in the Upper East region is widely known by every Ghanaian to be as a result of a sudden bad weather condition which could not allow aircraft to take off and land because of poor visibility on the said date.
The Upper East Region MPP had also claimed that under President Mahama's rule, no significant development has come to the Upper East Region, but the NDC denies this, citing examples of development projects carried out in the region by the president.
250 boreholes has been drilled in the region. Thank you. Under this heading, as 65 KVIPs have been constructed, 13 small town water systems have been built in the region, 21 boreholes provided by UNICEF in collaboration with government, 7 boreholes provided by UN Habitat in collaboration with the government, the 7 boreholes provided by SADA, and 39 boreholes drilled out of 168 to be provided by the Chinese government as a way of cooperation with the government of Ghana.
Upper East Regional Secretary of the NDC, Donatus Akamugri, also touched on issues raised by the MPP last week relating to the Boko Road and the Palugu Tomato Factory.
Roads are very important in our daily activities. There is no doubt that the Boku Road is very dear to us as Boku. To us as Boku is one of the important commercial towns in the Upper East region. It is also important to note that this road links the Eastern Corridor network of roads and by policy must be fixed. As Social Democrats, the NDC has the moral obligation to fix this road to make traveling comfortable for the good people of Boku and its environs.
Today is International Day of the African Child. The day since 1991 has been celebrated to highlight the struggles of children on the continent. But 25 years down the line, children of Ningo Pram Pram in the Greater Accra region are denied access to education as they are sold out as slaves.
The children of Ningo Pram Pram are sold out as child slaves by their parents to work as fishing hands and labor aids to traffickers along the Volta Lake. Jifat Diko, the technical advisor on gender, children and social protection, admitted that these challenges will not go away, citing the only way out is education.
I think country by country, that's why we have our lead organization, the African Union, and then we have all other regional bodies they've demonstrated, member states have demonstrated a commitment to the children. They have protocols that guide the work we do with children. We would admit that these are things that will not go away with as we wish it, but we have to work extensively and thoroughly to make sure that children are protected. It's a strong commitment. So it's not easy. I mean, it's not easy. It's very daunting, but with consistency, with availability of resources, we will be able to do it. We think the standards of our children, especially with a lot of social protection measures, including the school feeding and health insurance and all of that, are improving.
She advised and suggested the strengthening of legal environment to ensure every child rescued from slavery, re-echoing the importance of the media in the fight against child trafficking.
We have to make it a consolidated effort. The media, oh God, they're watching all of us and they're saying that you can't sleep, you can't pretend. So we think if media keep children issue as well burning in this country, we think nobody will get off the hook and will work to the collective interest of our children.
The Chief Director of the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, Mauto Ablo, stated that poverty is the major cause of modern-day slavery. He, however, noted that grants have been offered to some rescued families, hoping that the intervention will soon be scaled up. For the many children unfortunate to be in this situation, they can only hope for a brighter tomorrow as authorities work towards realizing this goal.
As and when we hear some of these cases, we move in to identify the children and rescue them, and they try to trace their families and then let the children get back to their families. And where there are challenges in the families, especially maybe in the case of poverty, we try to see how best we can help these families. Most of them are also put on what we call the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty program, which provides them with some cash grant to smooth their consumption, and then we link them to other interventions that will create a livelihood to enable these children to go to school. Create some kind of livelihood for these families, and that is exactly what we are doing through our national social protection, strategy that we are implementing. These issues are multi-sectoral. Okay, so we are working in a multi-sectoral team. We have a technical team comprising of the various ministries that are involved, issues with agriculture, issues with health, issues with education. So we have all these teams together, and we have a comprehensive package which is trying to address the issue. So the thing is, we have to scale it up, and that will depend upon the resources to scale it up to cover many more families so that we can move them. Well, we have a Department of Social Welfare which has been decentralized now, so we have social welfare officers in the various districts, and we use them to provide some kind of psychosocial support and counseling for both the children and the families to enable the children to overcome this emotional trauma or challenges that they go through, so that they are able to access especially education and then build themselves up as a human resource for this nation.
Up next, we bring you international news. You're watching Joy News Prime Time now for a recap of our top stories. As the controversy of the president's acceptance of a gift of a vehicle rages, the Burkinabe contractor at the heart of it all is said to have withdrawn his interest in a bid for another government contract. The head of the Political Science Department at the University of Ghana is meanwhile worried about the implications of the controversy on the fight against corruption. The minority is questioning a presidential directive announced in Parliament on Thursday, which gives the Interior Ministry oversight responsibility of the country's intelligence services. In business, over 50 small businesses in some retail markets in Accra have been shut down for violation of their tax obligations. And on the Day of the African Child, we've been highlighting the plight of children denied access to education because they're sold into slavery. After several failed attempts to secure a good job in his homeland Nigeria, Fure Romara has decided to travel to Ghana with a rather unconventional job search strategy. A graduate of religious studies from Imo State University in Owerri, Nigeria, he moves from one place to another carrying a cardboard with a CV inscribed on it. Today, he took his job search to the forecourt of the Multimedia Group's Kokomlemle offices and managed to catch Joy News' Jifa Kege's attention. She asked him why he chose the strategy and what the results have been like so far.
A first glance through the windows of a newsroom of a well-dressed gentleman holding up a cardboard looked like an everyday occurrence. The more I try to read the message from afar, the more I get curious of his intention. So I decided to get close. Fure Romara is an unemployed graduate. His search for greener pastures has brought him all the way from Nigeria to Ghana. The man in his late 20s has decided to go the unconventional way, hoping to secure a job with the display of a cardboard bearing his CV after several attempts to secure a job with several companies have failed both in Nigeria and Ghana.
By Providence, I'm a graduate of religious studies in Delta State. I graduated from Imo State University, Owerri, with 4.2 CGPA. That is second-class honor upper division. After my graduation, I served in Nigeria as a youth corps member. During my service, I was awarded the best corps in Bayelsa State. Being in Nigeria, walking around everywhere looking for a job as a graduate with good grades, no job. I have to come to Ghana. Here in Ghana I came. I've been searching for a job all this while also. I have not seen any. I've submitted letters to more than 20 institutions, both the government and the private. No single response. So I can't keep being at home, be jobless. It's very unbearable. I'm tired of being jobless. I can no longer take it. I have to come to the street before it will be too late.
Fure's main aim of adopting this strategy is to make UN, AU, ECOWAS, and other world bodies aware of the increasing number of unemployed graduates in Africa, even as he searches for a good job.
I'm appealing to the United Nations. I'm appealing to the European Union. I'm appealing to AU and the ECOWAS to please come to our intervention in Nigeria. Precisely, I need a job. They should come to our intervention. Enough is enough. We that are graduates that have passed through the university system, we are searching for job everywhere, no job. That's why I'm crying to the public society to please come to my rescue. Let you and all of them come and rescue us. I need a job.
Aside his search for job, Fure wants the Nigerian government to be proactive and create jobs so the youth will not take up arms.
I realize that the government of Nigeria recognize the armed youths who take arms to challenge the government, youth who use violence to press for their demand. That is the people that the government listens to. The government don't give attention to the peaceful youth, the youth who are graduates, the youth who are peace-loving. They have no interest. They don't even show attention whether they are existing. If you are a militant in Niger Delta, the government come to you and pay you salary at the end of the month while you are doing no work. Meanwhile, those who have jobs, they are thinking of slashing their salaries. So it's a very big pity.
I wish him all the best in his job search. Final funeral rites of the late mother of President Mahama will take place Friday at Busunu in the West Gonja district in the northern region. This was announced at the residence of the late Hajia Habiba in Naba when the National Chief Imam led the Muslim community to say a prayer for the deceased. Latif Idris was at the residence and has come through with this report.
Someone would here at the residence of late mother of His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama. Today's activity has been brief. The Chief Imam Sheikh Usman Nuhu Sharubutu was here with a huge delegation and said Islamic prayers for the late mother of the President. Now, activities for the other funeral rites are as follows. Tomorrow, Friday, the body of the late mother of the President would be airlifted to get the name right, Busunu, in the West Gonja district in the northern region, where the body would be buried after Friday's Juma prayers. And so today, family members will move from Accra up north, but the president, I'm told, by family members would go by air tomorrow. We'd had huge delegation from all walks of life. Former President, His Excellency Flight Jerry John Rawlings and his wife, Cornelia Rawlings, were here. We've had politicians and members of the community here in Tesano coming in to pay their final respect. In fact, we've had celebrities as well. We had Bukum Banku and Daddy Lumba all coming in to pay their final tributes to the late mother of His Excellency, the President.
I think we've all heard what has happened to our President. The mother has just let me lay it straight, and I'm here to console our President and to send my condolence to all the parties involved, especially all the families, Mr. President Onohoy, his brothers and sisters, and all the other people involved. This is my condolence to all of them.
So the funeral rites continues tomorrow, where the body of Madam Hajia Nabi would finally be laid to rest in Busono in the West Gonja district. So from the residence of the late mother of His Excellency President Mahama here at Tesano in Accra, this has been Latif Idris reporting for Joy News.
520 persons in the Bongo district of the Upper East region have been given grants through the Labour Internship Public Works to go into micro-enterprises to help improve the economic conditions and ultimately reduce poverty in the area.
The 520 beneficiaries are from 13 communities in the Bongo district. They received various amounts of money through the Eastwich electronic payment system from the government of Ghana and Japan Social Development Fund grants to enable them go into livestock rearing, basket weaving, soap making, and other economic activities. Some of the beneficiaries spoke to Joy News.
I'm into uniform business. So with this money, I think it will help me to expand my business to a higher level. And through that, I think my life today will be different from tomorrow. Once this money is there, if I use it judiciously, I think it can benefit me. I've received 350 guys. I also received, I'm told they'll give us feeding camps. So that one cost has not been factored here. I know as time goes on.
I think we have very much appreciated the honor being given to us. All the items and the money that is given to us to support ourselves. We think we are going to use this one in due respect of your office. We are not going to disappoint you. We want to make sure that all that is given to us, we want to make an impact, a very great improvement, so that more times when you come here for the second step, we'll be sure it's going to be doubled and multiplied for all of us.
Upper East Regional Coordinator for the Ghana Social Opportunity Project, Ajua Asotia Boache, said the project aims at complementing the income of the rural poor in Ghana to enable them establish or expand their businesses. Bongo District Chief Executive Alexis Adugda Ayamdu expressed happiness about the project. According to him, the selection of the beneficiaries was thoroughly done to ensure that those who need the help most get it.
Up next, we bring you entertainment. All right, time now for entertainment. Ms. G is here. Good evening to you, Ms.
Good evening, Israel. How are you doing?
I'm very well.
You're so you don't know it's a wet evening. Do you know that?
Oh, is it a wet evening?
Yes, everything is wet.
Out there?
Everywhere is wet.
Okay.
So it's a wet evening.
But the news is not wet.
So. No. Of course, that can't be wet because we are here. Yeah. Anyway, so let's start off with allegations and accusations. I don't know if you know by now that Van Vicker has been accused.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I heard that bit.
Okay, so...
There's been some back and forth?
There's been some back and forth. So let's start the story.
The
All right, the story is that one Mr. Kula, who is based in the States, on social media said that Van Vicker is sleeping with his wife, who is Dr. Clarice. Mr. Kula is also a doctor, and he says that he knows that his wife would actually deny it, but he has been emotionally and physically engaged with his wife.
As in Van Veker has been emotionally and physically
engaged.
Does he have evidence?
He says he has evidence, but first of all, we put together a package of the entire story before we come to his evidence.
Here this week, Dr. Batum Kula, who is based in Atlanta, Georgia, alleged on social media that Van Veker is having physical and emotional affair with his wife. He said, and I quote, "My wife will deny the accusation and claim to be Van Veker's manager and business partner."
He has a plaque for everything, but we want to say thank you to Van, because seriously, without Van, we could not have really even brought the movie to Silverberg, because he brought the movie here. He made sure that we're able to get it played, and whenever we need Van in the States, he just comes, okay? He's like in just about all the films that you see coming out of the U.S., but I appreciate that about him, because he's not a difficult person to work with, so you know, I'm not saying that because I'm his manager or anything, but Van is cool.
She's saying it because she's his manager.
That's what she always says. It's all a cover-up, and I've caught them at a hotel twice. Dr. Kula added that he has been married to his wife for some years now with 2 children, a boy and a girl, but his wife does not care about the children. All she knows is traveling with Van Veker. She has been in Accra since Wednesday to premiere the film Skinned at the Silverbird. They will then go to Liberia to premiere the same film next Saturday. Not only that, but sleeping with my wife anywhere they go to premiere the movie. This is the second trip in a year. They have traveled to Haiti, Liberia, Nigeria, Ireland, and multiple cities in the United States of America, Dr. Kula alleged. But a press statement released by Dr. Clarice Ford Kula and CorporateMajorOnline.com said none of the allegations leveled against her and Van Veker is true. According to her, her husband has security issues due to an accident that has completely interrupted his life. She said, and I quote, "He has been harassing all my male friends, including pastors, ministers, and deacons for years, and I chose to ignore."
All right, so it's a pretty serious allegation for a husband to make.
Very serious one, you know. And
what's his evidence?
He says he's got pictures of them. He's got pictures of them in a hotel room. I don't know how he managed to get those pictures, but Van is saying that yes, he might have pictures, but not pictures
compromising pictures.
Exactly, because this is his manager. They work closely together. He lodges in hotels when he travels outside the country, so it could be pictures of them coming out or going into the hotel. Well, the interviewer managed to get this from Van.
I can tell you it's outright untrue. And like she put it, she said it was a nonsense allegation or a nonsense accusation. For me, I can say clearly it is absolutely untrue. She has become more of a family than just a manager, because, I mean, we go beyond just manager in terms of she knows my family.
But what's your relationship with her husband?
I don't know him. Well, I met him once. I've met him once, and that is it.
The man is claiming that he actually has pictures of you sleeping with his wife.
I do not have a problem with whatever pictures or videos he's got. He can put it out there. My only point would be these will be pictures or videos of my manager and I going to events or leaving events, or she dropping me off at the hotel, or picking me up, or taking me into a restaurant. There would be nothing compromising.
Right, so Van seems to have a pretty convincing argument or defense. That,
okay.
Well, she's my manager.
Mm-hmm.
We work closely together. Mm-hmm. And so it wouldn't be out of line for you to find the two of us in a hotel.
Well,
going into a hotel or coming out of a hotel.
No, there are people who too, after listening to Van say this, have said that, okay, she's more than family. How come she knows your family that well? You don't know her family. Because first of all, you say, I haven't seen him. I don't know him. Then you say, I've met him once. Then you come back to say that she's family. what kind of family?
All right, so I thought I also heard somewhere that Van Vicker's wife has come out in his defense.
Okay, I haven't heard that yet. Because actually, Van didn't want to speak to the issue. And I can convincingly tell you that we are the only ones Van has spoken to. Because as of the time we're speaking to him, he was off to Liberia today with the manager.
Okay, because when these things happen, there are others who get involved. You know, there's some collateral damage that involves family.
Yes,
it involves,
exactly.
You know, some
reputation. You know, people
yeah.
who have loved your movies and have a lot of respect for you are beginning to
Well, indeed, those who have watched the movies and loved the movies don't really care that much.
Well, because some people, out of what they see you on screen do, say, oh, I want to be like you. And then, but I just hope that, we get a clearer picture of what the situation really is. Like you heard in the report, the man had an accident years ago, and so he's insecure, says his wife. So we're just thinking that that's just... allegations being made by an insecure man.
Mrs. Wife, if your husband is insecure, you should be by your husband and make sure that he feels secure. Anyway.
Well, they need cash, so they're doing business. Anyway, so Kwakese is slamming a man whose picture is all over social media. He's seen smoking with his son. And, Kwal is against, smoking. But Kwakese says, look, this is a thing for...
Kwakese is against...
Yes, after he got back from the Kumasi prisons, he's...
Okay, after he got back.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes, he's been campaigning...
So as a reformed Kwakese...
A very much reformed Kwakese. He says that this is a thing meant for adults, it's not for kids. And if you want to do it, leave the kid out. Just leave the kid out of it. You can enjoy your smoke as an adult. I guess that's what he says. But let the child stay away.
Keep the child away
from that. So he goes on social media, on his Facebook page. He posts the picture and posts his comments concerning the picture as well. I think it's just fair that he is cautioning.
So where's the picture coming from in the first place? Is it the father who put up the picture?
That's what we are hearing, but the picture is all over social media. You can find it on Instagram and Facebook. So Kwal decided to pick it, post it on his own Facebook page, and then, actually slams this father, or whoever he is, whether it's Ghanaian or somewhere in Africa. We don't know who he is, All right, so we go to some other stories, and Eniola Badmus used to have a lot of wishes. She was that plump. Now, all of a sudden, she's losing weight. She talks about, losing weight. She says she's not losing weight, though. But she talks about local movies because she is a typical Yoruba person and does a lot of Yoruba movies. And so she talks about the issue. But let's talk about Camilla, who was about in TB Joshua's church some years back, confessing that she's a witch. And now she says that she's staying off evil roles. But I thought to find out if it was because of that. She says, no. She used to be versatile. Now she's moved away from that because, she decided to leave it for others to play.
Just getting a good job done, and since I'm done with that part, I've gone to other parts as well, so that one, I've left it for those who are, for upcomers, let them carry on, it pays to be versatile. I'm versatile, so that's why I could do that one when I could do the other ones well as well. The good person. Anytime I'm acting, I try to be it that moment, and once I'm out of it, I'm me.
What do you make of the young ones now acting? Do you think that the standards are falling as compared to where you started?
Truly, the standards are falling in everything, but we hope that it's going to rise. That somebody's going to come out and do that revolutionary work for us, If I don't do it, somebody else will do it.
Thank you very much.
All right, so I'm curious, when she appeared in TB Joshua's church, what did she say?
Oh, she went for deliverance. She said she confessed that she used to be in the ocean. She was a witch and all that. And
no, but she actually played that role.
Exactly.
So she was an actress.
Exactly.
And she acted roles like that. So how did she transcend from being an actress into going to the spirit world in
Exactly.
reality?
Why I asked her if he had affected her. She says, oh, no. And I'm like, okay, but I thought she says, oh, no, that's something she doesn't want to talk about, so we decided to leave it there. Because she was on television and confessing together with Jamaica. I need not forget that one, they needed deliverance and they got deliverance. So maybe she's been delivered.
Yeah.
All right. So Eniola Badmus on your screen up.
First of all, I think it's always good when you promote your culture. Indigenous movies, they are not bad. There are some people that don't understand the regular English, that they will so be comfortable in watching your own dialect movies. So to me, I feel it's a wonderful thing. Promote your culture like we do here.
It's true that we've seen that you've gone a bit down on your weight.
But really, why is everybody saying that?
Because the last time we saw Eniola, she was not looking this way.
Well, maybe. I don't know. Maybe because I've been working too much, so here and there, I'm sure.
It's not like it's a deliberate attempt to actually shed off some weight.
I really don't like to talk about this weight shedding and stuff because I don't get it. Is it that the plus sizes can leave? Like, are we not human beings? Like, are we weird or something? I don't know. I'm just me. I don't know. I don't know if I'm shedding weight or not. Love is for love. Yes. You still have to watch this. It's for love. Yeah, everything is for love. You know, these boxers, you know, it's my child. Like, you don't make it. Honey, you still have one more.
All right, so that's Eniola. I don't know why she's denying that she's losing weight. I don't know. I thought it was a beautiful thing.
No, but like she said, there's some people who actually take offense. They don't want their weight to be discussed. And probably she's one of them.
Well, maybe she's one of them. So that's it for Entertainment Israel. I know I'll be back.
Oh, yeah, you will be back. You'll be back. Okay, so we're bringing you Gary Al-Smith with sports next.
Entertainment News was brought to you.
All right, so it's time for sports and Gary Al-Smith. Somewhere, somehow, you managed to cross the street, even though it was raining?
Yes.
Okay, how did you manage it?
We got an umbrella.
Oh, you got an umbrella?
Yes.
Okay, the good old under my umbrella.
Yes. The British call it the brolly.
All right.
Yes.
Like Gifty will call it. Gifty and Apia.
Yes.
The brolly. All right, let's go.
All right, so thanks for joining us on the Sport on Prime. Hi, I'm Gary Al-Smith. Today we begin with boxing, and we touch on the Euros later in that game that's going on between Germany and Poland. In boxing, Ghana's Isaac Dogbe says he's confident of beating Ugandan Edward Kakembo to retain the title.
We tame them in the valley and tame them, you know,
on the mountain.
On the mountain. He's a soldier by uniform, you know. But then when we're in the ring, when his uniform is off, it's man to man. So that is when we're in the ring, we will see who the real champion is, who the real warrior is. And the family that is behind me is a Wovenu royal family. And these people, they back me through prayers. So when I'm entering in the ring, I know at that time I've given my life to Christ. You know, that's the reason why when I get in the ring, I get in there and I come out safely. And
Sounds like Manny Pacquiao there. Meanwhile, former President Jerry John Rawlings urged Dogbe and Kakembo from Uganda to give a good fight on Saturday.
The exchange of words that have taken place this morning looks like this is going to be a fight to remember. And I guess I can only advise and suggest to Ghanaians and the non-Ghanaians who are here that all roads must lead to the stadium on Saturday. The featherweight, no. I promised myself I wouldn't say anything. Maybe when the fight is over, I'll give a talk. I'll give a little lecture about how I see the featherweight as one of the weight divisions that actually belongs to Africa. Yes. And most of all to West Africa. But it looks like our brother wants to throw a solid challenge to you.
In football, Mediama of the Ghana Premier League have settled all the bonuses of their players ahead of their CAF Confederations Cup with TP Mazembe. That's according to the deputy spokesman of the club, Patrick Akoto.
Players are well motivated. At Mediama Sporting Club, we pay due homage and respect, and we respect the fact that when you play a game and you are promised, we fulfill our obligations to the players. All those ones have been sorted out, so all those issues that you are hearing are absolutely false. It's a complete fabrication, and it must be treated with the contempt it deserves. The players are well sacked up, huge intrinsic motivation for these boys to go and excel in Africa. The journey appears quite difficult. We have our first game against Mazembe, but we are confident that that game against Mazembe could serve as a springboard for the club to move to dizzy heights.
From the CAF Confederations Cup in Africa to the European Championships in France. As we speak, Germany and Poland. Okay, so it's still 0-0 in the game between Germany and Poland. And you can follow us on Twitter at JoySportsGH, where we will be giving live Twitter updates on that one. When the match is finished, head over to myjoyonline.com sports page for the match report. I'm Gary Al Smith. Catch you tomorrow.